Hello, everyone, and welcome to Shifted Reality, Season 1, Episode 15. Now, I could really use some help right now because I'm trying to make sense of the YouTube analytics I've been getting on my videos. So, if you could help me out, I would greatly appreciate it. If you could just comment down below what made you click on this episode if you're not currently subscribed, and at what point and what makes you decide to click off. This would be very helpful for me as I try to make this Minecraft Let's Play on a shared SMP server the best that I can make it and most enjoyable for you. So far where we're at with our base is we are trying to finish up this massive bridge entrance in order to continue our next phase of building. However, we have run into some difficulties as we ran out of supplies. And so I had to go out and dig a new additional stone and cobblestone in order to complete and continue with finishing off this bridge. And since I wanted to get it done as quickly as possible, I asked Bias if I could borrow his beacon to speed up the mining. And he did agree. He said I could borrow his beacon for 5 diamonds for 1 week of use. However, I only used his beacon for about an hour in order to resupply my storage with stone and cobblestone using a silk touch and fortune pickaxes. So, even if I gave him a full day's worth of the rent, that would be 5/7 of a diamond. How am I supposed to pay him 5/7 of a diamond? Should I be fair and just round it up to a diamond? And as you can see, it was a fruitful. I got a double stack chest of cobblestone and a double chest of smooth stone now that we have our fortune pickaxe and silk touch pickaxes. Of course, we don't necessarily need to smelt them as much as we used to anymore. So we can just collect them straight from the source. And what is this? Where does amethyst go in deep dark? Supposed to be a riddle? Who put this here? I generally have no idea what that is doing here. I mean, yeah, we don't have a strict storage solution for our amethyst, but we've never really collected all that much, so I haven't really worried about what I'm doing with it, but are they suggesting we should move it to our room that has the deep slate and tough and everything else? I'm kind of confused. I don't know who put this here. I'll have to ask around. Anyway, let's get to building. Now, because I didn't want this to be another episode focused on finishing off these tower gates, my intention was just to insert a time lapse here of the entire thing being finished. Unfortunately, disaster struck and I lost the device I used for a camera account that would allow me to record the excess exterior, and I don't even have all the footage that I did record. Here you can see the footage I have. Break it down into sections. I easily and manipulate the spacers in order to make it not feel so quite overwhelming and fill it in. However, this is only what I was able to download off the backup cloud storage, and the rest of the footage is unfortunately lost. You'll see as I come along here, and I did need to do some terraforming. I didn't want to get the sense that this was built into that natural formation of the vanilla Minecraft terrain generation. And I do recommend that if you do find yourself with this large area to do, break it up into the smaller areas with something to make it stand out. It will make your life easier at the end. Before I do a reveal of how the bridge turned out, I did swing by to see what Bias, Icewing, and Train Tonic were up to while I was working on it, and I wish I could find a clip that showed what was here before. I think there might be some glimpses, but nothing really clear on previous episodes. But Bias Icewing has built and torn down 2 buildings in this location so far. And this latest building he tore down is because he thought he made his roads too curvy, apparently, and wanted to straighten them out. And rather than just straightening his road and building around his existing building, no, he just tore the entire thing out. And it is kind of shocking to me how often he has torn out and redeveloped this particular corner. You gotta settle on the design, man. I mean, sometimes things are legitimately bad, and you tear them out, and you build something better. But if you spend all of your time building, tearing down, and rebuilding, you're never going to get any progress done on a large-scale city build like what he is working on. So, just my advice to you, Bias. If you don't like a section of a city, just move on and build another section that you like better. You need to kind of start finalizing your designs here. And again, sorry I lost the time-lapse footage, so you're not able to see the full completion of all the work I've done on the bridge up until now. But here it is, complete with the side rails. Now there's some additional detail work that I could potentially do. One of the things I've thought about is adding a structure to run from that tower to this tower and adding on suspension bridge lines in order to give a little bit more realism as to the structure that is holding this up and keeping the bridge functional. However, given the time that we have already spent on this, and there's a lot more to build in order to make the entirety of this bridge fit in like it belongs in this space. There's Redor. Apparently he came by to check on the bridge and see how it's all coming. But I still need to build out all of this section here, tie in the stairs to the lower level down there, and connect it in order to make all of this large space belong. And I also need to be expanding on this side of the main patio in order to complete it. So that's what we're going to be working on now, is we are moving on to the next phase of our base construction. What's this? Why does everyone keep putting signs up on my base? Come and visit Trader Joe's. Isn't that just what Traintonic is calling his little pop-up trade shop at his base? I don't know, I guess I can go take a look. Bias's base now has tanks rolling through town. Oppressive regime trying to hold down the common man. Wonder if there's some kind of prank we can do with this. I have an idea. It's not normally my build style, but I have an idea. So Trader Joe's, that's where we're going. We should really have a talk with Traintonic that emeralds don't have too much value. Well, these are at least a diamond. Didn't bring any diamonds with me, and there's no ingestible amount. Welcome to Hobo Joe's. I think we need to bring him a Hobo Joe to work his stand. Let me go get a name tag before it gets dark. There we go, one Hobo Joe working at Hobo Joe's trading outpost. One quick design element I did want to point out, if you look closely at our railing here, each one of these down pegs that is supporting it has the exact same amount of space. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 between each one. And while this is a half vertical slab, you might be wondering how that's done. It is quite simple. The upside down stairs has half of a slab here, and half of a slab there. And so with the two slabs in between, plus a half and a half is 3. So before I put down another upside down stairs, I just placed in 3 slabs to equal the gap that is going to be between 2 upside down stairs facing each other. But now let's recap where we've been at so far. Phase 1, we were exploring with horses and we needed a place to store them. So our first phase was the stable. From there, we were then having a bit of a chest monster, so stage 2 was to build out and dig this entire structure, and a lot of digging. Then phase 3 came along, and my daughter wanted a massive library, which we are still working at filling up with books, but we are getting further along in this project. Grand fireplace, portraits, a little bit of life by having librarians working on the upper levels. Maybe at some point I might add some librarians down here in the lower levels and expand our book selection options. Phase 4 was our alchemist tower and expressing our building here, as we wanted to give a round structure and a towering presence that could be visible from all angles when you're down low and below. And now phase 5 was to install this bridge to bring us across the river valley and into the main part of our base. And so now I think our phase 6 should be to break away from that side of the base and build up this side. Partly because I do kind of want to get rid of that view of the gold farm there. I never really liked it. What we need to solve is this here. My son has just been living out of this little alcove in our tower, as there is no real place to build any bedrooms or living quarters or to base up your personal belongings. So that is going to be what is coming over here. I'm probably going to leave a little bit of a space because I do plan to build a back gate at some point, but tired of gates. So we're going to probably right about here-ish build a structure to expand out that way. And on the main level, we're probably going to give it a formal throne room. And I'm thinking a banquet hall. And finally, some upper levels that can be split up and designated as living quarters for anyone who wants to base or have a personal storage space on this particular structure. Let's get started on laying out where we want that. Here I am standing on top of one of the tallest towers I have on my base, just to try and get a view of what this is going to look like. This would probably be easier if I still had my camera count. I could just fly over the area, but as you can see down below, I've laid out what my idea is for the next phase expansion of this base. I foresee the red and white to be about the same height and level of the stables, or the roof of the stables, and that will include a grand hall. You come in off the main gate, you come off the main bridge, and you walk in, and it's just meant to be impressive. So the interior decoration of that is going to be ideally focusing on making a presentation. Then you go back further into the red and yellow section in the far upper left corner, and that's going to be where our throne room is going to be. We're going to lay it out and have a grand throne, a place for people to come and prostrate themselves, all of that. Now the throne room, for elevation and changing of height, so it looks better at a distance, to be about twice as high as the first section, or at the very least as high as the storage area, which is in the lower left-hand corner of the screen, extends above where the stables are. And I'm not sure if I'm going to make that 2 levels or I'm just going to make it really high, imposing ceilings. Then we're going to get into that central square. That central square, I'm going to transform into both a internal mini garden as well as a staircase that goes up, and that's going to lead into this large round circular tower. Now, this large tower is not going to be as big as that one. Just no. But it might end up being as high as where the library is. And then that will, again, we'll have those three different sets of elevations. The round tower will balance out with the squareness, giving more dynamic shape to the overall castle. But the first thing I need to do is I need to dig out and level all the ground underneath that so that I can build the whole thing down like it has a singular solid foundation that was built up on. It's going to be very similar to how we ended up building and digging out the hole for our storage area. Unfortunately, again, I won't be able to get a time lapse this time. So let's just cut to having it done. Okay, so right now it doesn't look like much. It's a big hole in the ground. But that big hole in the ground is a blank canvas. And that is exactly where I want to start. We got the circular pattern on that side. Nice and square on this side. It's going to be a good blend of shapes and textures and elevations. Trust in this process. We have a new beginning, and this is going to be fantastic. I already see a little bit of how it's going to be emerging from the earth and blending in. And I have big ideas and big designs for where this is going to go. Not really sure where I'm going to go with for a thumbnail for this episode, since we are mostly just kind of laying the foundation for our next phase expansion. But do keep in touch and subscribe. Leave any comments down below and come check out in the next episode as this all will start coming together into a fantastic new expansion of our base. Have a good one, everyone.